Dr. Patrick Basu, you've been out of this country for a very long time, and you've been doing so well in USA now. But for the benefit of our viewers, would you please introduce yourself?
Well, first of all, my real name is not Patrick. It was given name. My name is Prithvijit, which is an ambitious name, but I don't know whether I conquered it or not. And I'm a physician, and of course, I've been practicing in America for a while. My specialties and subspecialties are actually gastroenterology, liver disease, and I'm involved with liver transplantation, particularly living donor. And I work, and I'm a full faculty professor in Cornell and Columbia Universities in New York. And I travel, and I'm a teacher, and I prefer a lot of research, and that's me.
Oh, thank you very much. That's a lot. Now, as I have told you before, we have this seminar coming up on exam phobia, and we are trying to talk to various professionals like doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, educationists on exam phobia. Would you mind if I ask you a couple of questions?
Sure, be my guest.
The first question that I would like to ask you is that, what do you think, why this phobia? What could be the reason?
Well, scientific reason is we have bodily some end hormones and peptides, and when you cope up with stress, again, stress is stress and stressor. So exam, a lot of people feel or perceive as a stressor, and they have internalized or as a cue outside as stress. So stress is there everywhere, but again, the threshold of stress is different. So every individual reacts to stress and stressor differently. So our body's system, everybody has their own system, natural system, to combat that particular stress by exuding, upgrading, or upregulating some hormones like epinephrine, norepinephrine, endorphin, dopamine, enkephalin, and endocannabinoids. And there are other several peptides. These are two scientific names. So still we didn't explore the whole avenue, but still what happens is, in this case, when you get this stressor and you react upon it from side, you're from years, from thinking process, or from looking into or contemplating what happens. So that way, we develop a lot of steroids called corticosteroids and something called aldosterone. So these hormones act on our systems of receptors, cardiac receptors, kidney receptors, and peripheral receptors. So that's why you start sweating, which is an epinephrine rise, which is, after that, you have palpitations. Why? Which hits the heart by epinephrine and norepinephrine, and then others too as well, and dopamine. So they have palpitations. Palpitation is a reaction to what's happening to combat our vasoconstriction to push the blood. Same time, a lot of people feel panicky. Panic, stress, anxiety, it's a common syndrome. It's like a spectrum. Once they have this anxiety, panic, they feel like they're going to pass out. But again, everybody's threshold is different. That's why the psychologists, psychiatrists work either with medications or biofeedback, which is actually galvanic current. We induce ourselves. When we think it's stress, it works on it. Then they have hypnosis. Then other modalities too. A lot of people use squeeze their, like a tennis ball. Why? That part, they exude certain amounts of pressure to release all the hormones too. Some people use drug, which is called beta blocker, that lowers the heart rate. People go for exam, or a lot of people, public speaking, they get stressed, so they take beta blocker. Some people take long-acting other medications called diazepam. Why? That lowers the brain threshold of all part. Some people take SSRI and SNRI, that is anti-stress and anti-panic. So there's a syndrome, and there's a lot of avenues what's happening. But psychiatrists and psychologists, they are trained professionals, so they deal with. For instance, somebody has some forms of phobia of flight. So what they do is called flooding or desensitization, or problem with dogs, scared of dogs. So what they do exactly, they'll bring the person in front of lots of pictures of dog. First of all, that picture of a dog gives initial stress, and the body reacts to it, and you come back with this. I say, look, this is not a real dog, it's a picture. Why don't you come closer? Then later on, they bring the dog distantly, and then come and as you suspect. So it's a longer process. There's so many avenues now. The psychologists and psychiatrists are working. Psychiatrists actually do the medications. They look into the chemical part, but psychologists or helper psychologists to do other ways, particularly their feedbacks and stuff. There are operant conditionings. There's so many things in the horizon, in the offing. But initially I told you the physiology of stress. But the best thing, I come from East, I come from India. The best thing for all this is meditation. What is meditation? When you meditate, you don't have to say Om or any particular ways. You don't have to go to your guru, or particularly the man called Deepak Chopra. You have to learn. And then you can, it's just again a training process, self-training. It's autodidact. So once you can meditate, means converge all the energy, everything to a linear progression, linear line. And you're trying to breathe and relax. So that phenomenon is there for thousands and thousands of years. And people are benefited. We are implementing this even post-transplant. Family had HIV, AIDS, sudden news of cancer, sudden news of trauma, sudden news of aero trauma, something plane crash, all these victims somehow. So we are trying to cope up this particular part of stress with meditations. So meditation is, I think, is the way to go. And people have before a different concept, but now even globally is accepted everywhere. And well, meditation biologically or physiologically induces all the hormones and peptides, particularly called endocannabinoids and endorphins. And that work on different centers and calm every part and nerves and cope up the visual stress, thought process stress, auditory stress, and whatsoever, the global stress. I think I talked too much, right?
No, not at all. I mean, it's very interesting. There's another question I would like to ask you, is that the first, say, 22, 23 years of your life you were in India, and the next 30, 35 years you're abroad.
Correct.
Now,
actually, it's a little more, but anyhow, in and out I was here. But
yes.
Yes.
Now, is there any basic difference between the kind of exam phobia that we faced or we face in our country because of the various other pressures from peer group, from the parents and so many others, and the pressure to succeed? Is there any difference between our country and the USSR, for example?
This is $1 million question, actually. Because to dissect that, there are so many avenues. Every demographics, particularly us, compared to the Western world, when we are born, so anywhere, the pressure, even in Chinese, the Chinese moms are called tiger moms. They have to bring to you a school, the good school, it's like a formula, ascending path in your life. So you have to go to a good school. To get the good school, you have to have tutor, you have to studies, and there's an enormous pressure. And that time, this pressure, with that too, there's pressure on peers. So then we escalate, go to mid school, college, and here again, some cultural part where socioeconomically they are not the below par, they are above standard. I wouldn't say affluent, but a middle class, upper middle class. There's a huge competition to go to medical school, engineering school, all this stuff. So there is a huge amount of stress. If you know people from IIT here or others, they commit suicide actually. They cannot tolerate it. Yeah.
In fact, Maharashtra is a state where you get the maximum number of suicides, followed by West Bengal.
It's pathetic, it's sad, but it's happening. Who's creating it? It's us, our society, the job situation, employment, social recognitions, all this stuff. Compared to abroad, like I lived in England, I worked everywhere else, and I traveled 80% of the world. Indirectly, directly, I felt it, and I really felt it. For instance, here in America, there are pressures, but there is not that intimidating. It's like a pressure, like a vehement pressure. No, because people are relaxed. In Japan, there's a huge amount of pressure, work pressure. So all these people create a pyramid. Who could be the next boss or next person? So these guys don't even go home. Japanese women are very frustrated, and there's no children. And they drink enormous amount of alcohol. Why? Because boss after work goes to a bar and they accompany the boss.
Yes.
Boss goes fishing Saturday, forget the home, domestic duties, they go fishing. Why? Because they have to come up. It's incredible. So human beings, society over time, us, we are the culprits. We developed all this stress.
Right.
And then we implement that on us and we reflect differently. But demographic-wise, even the genetic propensity, that means genetically a lot of people are stressful. This phenotypically means their production or they feel the stress physiologically is different. So these people need help initially. Some people are carefree and some people are stress-free. So to living now with the social, psychosocial, economic world, or somehow we look into a cocoon or a matrix of bliss, it's a huge. But there are some people are stress-free who are, I think, if you go to Shangri-La, if you go to Tibet, the Tibetan monks are not stressful.
That's right.
If you go to Himalayas, somewhere else, and see, why? Because they don't have to achieve the pyramid of achievement which we created inside. Okay? It's intimidating, and the greed, and I think it's kind of a lustful thing to achieve this, otherwise the peers are not satisfied. So that's us too. But who to blame? All to blame. But everybody are manifesting same stress? No. There are, again, genetic risk factors and factors you can avoid and obviate stress too.
Right. Thank you very much for your excellent explanation for stress. I'm sure our students are going to gain a lot from this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.